of DragonLady Art. I've got my co-host
Alan Childers
of.
uh, Childers Art Studios.
Thank you all. Thank you. And our special guest tonight is
Rose Catherine Kahn, the painter of portals, the amazing puzzle illustrator, the author, educator,
yes,
teacher of art, mom.
yes.
I need to work
All
on my
the things.
intro.
And I'm a big
Right?
friend of Carla's. Carla and I have been friends like forever, so that's
It's
why
been
I
a
feel
while.
arrogant enough to say these things.
Yeah. So Rose and I share a licensing agent. She's also under Joe Tate Licensing, and we met through Joe. We've done the licensing expo in Vegas that I've mentioned on the stream a few times. Has it been like 5 or 6 years now? It was pre-pandemic, so
yeah, and the pandemic was 6 years ago.
yeah. And I missed when I had my gallbladder out, and you missed when you had the kiddo.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we've been in the booth and hanging out and talking to companies together and that kind of stuff, which has been lots of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our first official guest
Yeah.
on Pure
honored.
Dragons Artcast.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a moment and share. So feel free to go to the Facebook page and share it if you're not automatically sharing it to the streams. Blah, blah, blah.
Here with the live, because I've never used this app before in case people start chatting in the live chat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I need
there's
to
a
pull
little
up.
chat button right there.
Yeah.
I see it. Okay. Hopefully.
We are so up to all the things. We're trying to be more professional. We'll eventually get there.
Carla's just like a ninja at it. She had everything set up in like a week. It was like
Jeez.
impressive.
You did all the hard work with the setting up all the social media stuff.
That's what I'm good at that, but yeah, you did all the impressive stuff.
So we're live now, and I got it shared to my peoples. So yeah, we have Rose here. I think we're going to talk about puzzles. We're going to talk about. So you're repping your new shirt.
Oh,
and your merch.
Yes. So Carla and I have been chatting recently about adding more merchandise to my website, because right now, or maybe we should rewind. Should I tell people who I am? I'm just feeling.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Who I am,
Totally.
what I do, what my crazy history is, if you're listening to us as an artist or a puzzle fan. So I'm a professional illustrator, and I've been an illustrator I would say my entire career, like 20 years, but I mean, the past 10 years has been the point that my career really took off. In my early days of art, I was a graphic designer. I worked in-house doing graphic design, more like corporate. Then I did web design for a while for some smaller companies. And at the same time that I was doing my web design work, I was also teaching. So I am a K-12 certified teacher. I've taught almost every grade level. And then more recently in my career, I was a university professor at the Rochester Institute of Technology. I was there for 7 years teaching in their design department, and I was teaching figure drawing, the history of digital graphics. Also, I think I did 2D design. There's a couple courses that I taught over the years. And then about 3 years ago, I moved from Rochester, New York to Orlando, Florida. And when I made that transition, I didn't start teaching again when I came down here, because my freelance career as an illustrator had really gained momentum. So I just continued doing with that. And so what I do now, I do a lot of work in the puzzle industry. I've worked with over 30 different puzzle companies across the planet. I've worked with Ravensburger and Buffalo Games and Seco and Schmidt and Cobble Hill, Crazy Art. I'm afraid I should not be naming them, because I've gotten myself into trouble when I forget to name a puzzle. So if you are a puzzle art director and I have not named you, and I have not worked with you in the past, please do not take it as a slight. I mean, really, there's been a lot of you, and I love you all. But
puzzles are
her CV is extensive. Her CV is extensive.
Right? Yeah. There's a long.
You can go to my website; they're all listed there. But I've done a lot of work.
Puzzle companies are our #1 category through Joe, right?
Yeah.
He works with all of them.
Yes,
and including launching his own. He launched his own puzzle line. So.
Yeah. which is
Yeah.
awesome. Speaking of puzzles, Carla, are you going to show
Yes.
your mail?
You're
I'm
the
so
guest.
excited for Carla. Oh, it's so
So
pretty.
this is my
Yes.
sample. This is my sample from Seco Puzzles. They picked up a puzzle design back in April.
Mhm.
While we were at Licensing Expo, Joe, like at breakfast that morning, was like, "Hey, so you got another puzzle design with Seco?" And I was like, "Woohoo!"
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a new puzzle design. Look for it in Walmarts and Targets coming up soon. I think
How many pieces is that?
750.
Oh, nice.
It's actually higher
Good
puzzle
number.
count than my last puzzle. So
Yeah.
my second puzzle, which is I'm catching up to Rose. You know, at this rate, in 50 years, I'll be where she's at right now.
Hi,
Hey,
Renee.
There. But the Seco puzzles are fun because they pop up in Target and Walmart. So
Yes.
fans are more likely to come across them and like
Yeah.
tell them to take photos and post, because that's my favorite thing when I get a Seco or a Buffalo.
Yes.
So much fun. And 750, that's a nice piece count. Like a lot of my puzzles are produced as high piece count. Like right now I'm known for like my 7,000 piece 6 portals, but
That's a big
personally
piece.
I prefer like the 750. I like lighter. I like doing my puzzles in one night with a glass of wine.
Right.
Like, so
Puzzle light.
yeah, pretty much. Your friend Renee is saying hi. Renee Carrier.
Yeah.
Hi.
Renee has been with us
Hi, Renee.
for a while now. She's a collector of mine from way back. She's been a collector for a couple of years now and has made almost every live so far, I think.
Cool.
Yes. So the 7 portals. Now they hired you to do that puzzle, right?
Yeah. 6 portals, and yes,
6
7,000 piece 6 port. People get confused. Yeah. So the funny story with that. So as I said in my intro, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And what happened is when I was pregnant with the little guy, with the 2-year-old, I had just cleared out my puzzle schedule. Like I had basically I fulfilled all my contractual obligations. Leo was about to be born. I was like, okay, cool. He was born in February of 2024. And within like 2 weeks, I get the email from Ravensburger and they're like, hey, we're launching this new line. We'd love you to do a elaborate fantasy design for us. Do you have room in your schedule? And I'm like, oh, like I was hoping for maternity leave, but that's something as an illustrator you just don't get. And I'm like, I'm happy. Like that type of project with Ravensburger, I mean, I was ecstatic. So please don't get me wrong. Like I was very excited and it was actually a good time because I had cleared out my schedule. I had a lot of focus. So within the next, and Ravensburger is wonderful about giving a lot of months lead time. They understand that as an illustrator, like if you're a successful illustrator, that means that you probably are constantly doing work. So you can't like drop everything and immediately do a design. Like they're really awesome at making sure I have the time to do it. So I had enough time to do the sketches. And then Leo was really tiny, pretty much every single nap is I pull up my iPad Pro and I'd be there illustrating in order to get it done. And it happened. I had to do the file. And for those of you who are thinking iPad Pro 7,000 piece puzzle, which by the way is 6 feet by 4 feet. That's the image.
And did you do that in Procreate?
Yeah. And so what I did was I built the design. So it's 6 panels, hence the 6 portals. Yes. If you go to my website, rosecatcon.com, you could look me up and look up this design. But I basically built it as 6 separate files.
There you go.
So the iPad could handle the size, and then I put it together.
I mean, even the one puzzle that I did that was picked up in Europe, it was such a big file that it was layers. I was working in layers. Mm-hmm. And it would be like the dragon would be in one file and the background would be in another file and the foreground would be in another file. Because even with the new iPad Pro, it was just way too big to work in it. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So I was just about to ask, what kind of things like compositionally do you have to think about when you're trying to make a puzzle? Like if you're an artist looking to start designing puzzles.
Everything all at once.
Yeah, that's about right.
So like, okay, the puzzle industry is, I mean, okay, so we're at a funny space right now because if you go and search for puzzles, we're seeing this influx of this AI garbage. And a lot of it is actually not what the puzzle manufacturers would determine as suitable for puzzles. I fall in more of the traditional category where when you look at an image, it's full of stuff. And I literally, so when I'm doing a 1,000-piece puzzle, I have a 1,000-piece grid. It's just 1,000 squares. And I plop it on top of my image every once in a while. And I make sure every single square of that grid has something interesting or unique to it. And basically, because like every piece is a clue. And I think that's why my puzzles tend to be very successful, because I have that patience and that eye for making sure that everything, that it's an enjoyable puzzle experience. Like you're not going to have a sky that's just solid blue with me. You might have like, here's a butterfly, here's a dragon, here's an airship in the distance, here's a unique cloud, right?
And you're going to be teaching a class on this when? Because
Oh.
I would like love to sit in on that.
We'll sign up for that. We'll sign up for that.
I can't get my head wrapped around puzzles. Like the kids' puzzles I can do, but I would really like to do more adult puzzles. And that the last one that I did, well, on top of the fact that the company was like, can you finish it in a month? And I said yes. And then I was evacuated out for a fire. So I needed to ask for an extension. And I was like working out of my mom's house and it was really cluster crazy. But I can't seem to wrap my head around the whole puzzle thing.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the grid and stuff, like that makes sense to me. And I think I can like sit down with you and work on puzzle stuff, because that would be amazing.
But it's still, the illustrations still rely on, they still have to have good composition. They still have to have good movement. You've got to control the eye, right? So you've got to make sure your colors are varied, but not overwhelming, right? You still have focal point. You'll still have like all the good old traditional stuff you learn as an illustrator as far as composition, like that all matters, right? And it's just like this balancing act of having enough details, but not too many details, and enough. And it's like once you start to do them and once you actually put together your own puzzles, you start to see, well, and you know, for some puzzlers, like my images might be overwhelming, or there might be too much stuff, or they're too easy, or they're too, what, you know, everybody has preference. Too, as far as what they enjoy putting together. I'm saying we have a question.
Robin Herder.
Also why they make great high piece counts and diamond art.
Robin's one of my fans. She's coming over from my crowd.
Hi, Robin. Welcome.
Yeah, and she's right. Like a lot of my art also is diamond art is very popular for the very large diamond art pieces, as well as cross stitch, like the very super detailed. So we're not talking about the little product. We're talking about the ones that take, like, when it comes to those diamond arts, like literally 100,000 of those tiny little gems.
I'm on the other end with the children's stuff, like diamond art. Is it diamond art? Diamond Dots just picked up my children designs because they're releasing the children's with bigger diamonds. And my stuff goes well with that. So I just got my advance for that, and hopefully we'll see those more soon. So So it's interesting that you're like the markets that we're hitting, right? Like I'm trying to hit more of the children's market, kind of the simpler, like I would like to do like box design or like art kits and stuff like that with my stuff. Yeah. And you're going more the high end or more advanced level of stuff with the amount of detail that you're putting in. And as you're saying that, like I've seen those cross stitch patterns that are like 2 feet by 4 feet. And I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that. Like people who do those are insane. Like go them. But it's crazy. Like,
So there's a question that we were going to ask our artists when they come on. And I think you've already answered it, kind of. One of them is, what dragons are you facing with your art, and like how are you overcoming that? And I think you kind of answered it a little bit with the AI, and we cussed them on our first episode. So
yeah, AI is definitely the biggest beast right now, and I don't know. I mean, there's so much to this, right? Because I'm coming in at a point with my career so I started my career, I graduated high school in 2002. And around that era, it was the start of the digital art, Wacom tablets and using Photoshop. Like my instructors and all my education in college, we're talking about traditional media. With just a few digital classes, because the vast majority of illustrators at that point, they weren't digital, right? So I was self-taught on the digital side of things. And I mean, certainly graphic design, I think, was a little more digital. And my education, I have a bachelor's degree in illustration, associate's degree in graphic design. So I really had kind of that dual education. So I was also in that era where stock art and stock graphics and stock photography were still brand new. And for most of what you were getting, you were on you're getting it on a CD-ROM, right? You didn't have those massive databases. So I saw that transition happen. And there was a little bit of the sky is falling, the sky is falling. My first professors actually literally told me, do not put all my images on my website, do not include images in my emails to companies while I was trying to get a job fresh out of college, because their logic was they're going to just steal your art, right? That was that logic 20 years ago, right? And now this beast, I'm hearing a lot of the same thing, but I know it's so much worse, and the way it's impacting me. And I have developed, oh my God, this is such a big topic. Oh my goodness.
No, but this is the great thing that artists can do. AI can't advocate for itself. So we as artists doing these kind of interviews and things like that, bringing awareness to it, we can advocate for ourselves, and that's something that we have to do as artists, I think, to get just let people know AI sucks. Sucks for everybody trying to work in that industry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do have a couple strategies I'm trying, but I am also curious to hear what you guys have already discussed as far as strategies that you're using to push against the AI thing. And then I'll tell you my stories here.
Yeah. I know for me personally, like I've gone back to traditional. So I did digital starting in 2020 when I got sick and had my gallbladder out and I couldn't sit in my art desk. So I switched to digital. And, 6 months ago, I would have said, you'll pry my iPad from my cold, dead hands. Yeah. But then I realized traditional is going to be the way to go. So I'm seeing a vast movement across most of the artists that I know personally into traditional work again. And I know with my work, like I'm even bringing in the metal leaf and, metallic paints and stuff like that. So you have to be standing in front of the original in order to get the full effect from it.
Yeah.
So it's interactive in a way. And that's how I'm pushing back is more traditional work, more shows, like investing back into art shows and Renaissance fairs and things like that, where, it's live person to person. I really think we're going to see some pushback as people are ordering products from AI ads, and then they're getting their products in and it's not what they're ordering, and they're getting frustrated because they ordered a mug that looks like a crystal. Yeah. And you can't drink out of a crystal like that because crystals are porous and you will poison yourself. Like, right? or giant monkey couches, whatever the product is I think people are starting to lose faith in the internet and online. And I mean, you see it across the artists, forums too, of calling out artists for using AI when they're not using AI. It's the AI has been trained on their art. So of course of course it looks like their art. Of course their art looks like AI, because the AI has been trained on them. So I think, and I'm seeing this across a lot of people, of going back into traditional medias and videotaping and live streaming the processes and stuff like that. So
yeah, I've seen several professional artists, digital artists, have to go back and they shouldn't have to do this, but a lot of them like show receipts. They show because we are cataloging our process to begin with, and a lot of them do that anyway to, content themselves out anyway. It's also serves as receipts now for people who think like your work is AI and stuff like that. As well as I'm also seeing artists like just tease work, showing a picture of an image if they're until like say they're going to do a limited release or they're going to show the work at a show. They're just teasing it up until it's actually too close to the show to release, and then they'll show the full image, or they'll then they'll put the limited release out. So that they're not being like, somebody's like already snatched it because you put it out too early, and then somebody has your exact same piece at the show you showed up at. I'm hearing all kinds of stories, but people like showing up and like they're set up next to a booth next to somebody who's literally scalping their work. So
that's gross. I mean, I've had a few incidents happen with me with my puzzle art, but like that's a whole different level of gross.
Yeah, grifters are going to grift, and for whatever reason, they think we're making more money than we are at shows.
Yeah, it's like and you guys, this isn't that.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, and this kind of leads into some of what we were talking about earlier with your products. Print on demand and with drop shipping and whatnot, it's easier than ever for us to make products of our work, but it's also easier than ever for the grifters to make products of their AI slop and put it on print and make it look professional and make it look good and pay $500, $600, $1,200 for a booth at a show and show up and just, insta business pop. There it is. Right. And no matter what, like we can't keep up with AI. Like I can't paint 50 paintings in, 10 minutes. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we can't expect every AD or corporation or business that wants to make products to know the difference. Like, they should, but there's still those ones that, slide under the radar. There are some AI art, I'm not going to call it art. There's some AI prompters out there who have a setup that they look legitimate, or they've, and it's like, oh, okay, they might. So it's like, but they're not.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, in regards to like my strategies, what both of you are saying with going back to traditional, I never thought I would go back to traditional, right? I sketch traditionally. So I've always had paper sketchbooks. I love working in tone tan sketchbooks with white ink, white colored pencil, watercolor ink. Like that's always been my sketching process. So I should have brought them on today. I have like stacks of these. So I've never fully let go of traditional media, but as far as delivering a product to a company, I've been digital because that's what's expected, because I've been asked to make last minute changes, color swaps. But now I'm getting into more of a hybrid process with my puzzles where I'm taking some elements of the puzzles and starting to hand paint them and then scan them in and then incorporate.
That's cool.
Because at this point with myself, because I also have young children, I have expectations of like the timeline, right? That would take me to do a massive puzzle. And I haven't quite worked up to the skill to be able to do an entire puzzle, all traditional media, and meet the deadlines expected of me. But I've been trying to do small, like just kind of working up bigger and bigger to incorporate digital into my work. And I think another thing I'm doing to push against AI is to look at the broader story. So I've been doing this all along. I'm just laughing because like Carla knows where this is going, my marketing pitch here. Centurnia is I'm a novelist, surprise. Centurnia is the fantasy novel series behind all of my, well, not all, most of my larger works and some of my puzzle illustrations, especially my early puzzle illustrations. I didn't really mention to art directors that I was pulling from this one universe, this one fantasy world that I've invested a lot of time over 2 decades of my life into this world. Wow. I have 3 novels out. Yeah. And it's professionally edited. Keith Day Candido, who is a really awesome sci-fi writer, who I met at a convention some years back. It was funny because I needed an editor and I was completely scared to approach him because this guy's, written for Star Trek and Firefly and Marvel.
That's
and
awesome.
He did some ancillary work for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just like so many, but Star Trek is his big claim to fame as far as his literary. Plus he does his own fantasy works as well. So I had approached him about recommendations for an editor, and turns out he had editing in his professional background. So I actually ended up hiring him as my editor, which is fantastic. So I've been
crazy name drop. That's awesome.
It's wild to me. So
are some of these
Oh, I'm
Are
sorry. Go
some
ahead.
of these traditional, like I'm looking at the website right now, and it's like these sketches are just amazing, and like especially when it looks at the world and stuff, it's really really beautiful. Like
Oh,
I can't wait for that to come out.
thank you. Thank you. Most of what you see on my website is all digital. On my Centurnia website, there
Yeah,
are more traditional sketches on there because I think I tend to put more what in my mind is unfinished work. But I think in regards to the AI conversation, when people look at my puzzles, a lot of them will pick up intuitively that there's a story there. There's something cohesive to the world, that it's governed by rules, that the creatures are doing certain things, and there's certain technologies you see or you don't see. And then they will sometimes ask about that. And then I'm able to see, well, there's an entire fantasy
Right.
universe that you
Funny
can
should
look up.
ask.
Yeah, it's funny you should ask. And also, if anyone is curious about Centurnia and you go to my website, I did put together a special code for your listeners, and I can't
Oh, look
remember
at
which.
you.
Oh,
You're awesome. We'll
yes,
drop that in the show notes. Message it to me.
yes.
awesome.
Put it in the
But you
notes.
could use the discount code DRAGONS and you'll get $10 off, so that the first audiobook, which you could download right from my site,
Aw,
is only $5, to get you
thank
hooked.
you. You're so sweet.
But
Thank
also,
you. That's awesome.
That's great.
Yay. That's cool.
so that's my thing. Those are the
Yes.
two big things I'm doing. I mean, then there's other things that's been happening
So,
with my work in terms of AI, and obviously these AI puzzle grifters are copying the work of Ravensburger and Seco and Buffalo Game, all the large artists like Amy Stewart, Nathaniel
yeah.
Mortensen. They're just copying our stuff and running it through filters and flooding Amazon and using the same search terms. And it's like, and
They
sometimes
can
people
spend the
pick up
time
on this
doing
and
that because they're not making the art, right? Like they can
yeah,
grab the art, they can run it through an AI filter, and then
yeah,
they have the time at that point to do the research to see what keywords are working, what platforms are working, where they can put it, all this other stuff, because they're not making the art. And granted, when we're licensed through a company, we're hoping that a company has somebody on their roster who's doing all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But it's the same thing. It's they have the time to do it, where we just have the time to make the art, right? Like
yeah.
that's where the bulk of our time is going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's going to happen, or what I hope is going to happen, is we're going to see a split in the market, right? The same way
Mhm.
you have, okay, let's give the example of cookies, right? I could go to Walmart and buy a package of Oreos, and I know what I'm getting, and they're cheap Oreos. And sometimes I'm really in the mood for Oreos, but there's a difference between that, and that doesn't take away from the awesome Italian bakery that might exist in a plaza
Right.
that and you're not going to show up to a wedding or a formal event or something fancy with a package of Oreos. You're going to
Yeah.
have, even though it's all flour and sugar
Mhm.
and a dopamine hit at the end of the day, right? And I think that's going to happen with industry. So, for example, some puzzle companies I'm working with, and I can't name them because I
Right.
don't know. I have not inquired about the legality of how open they want to be. But some companies I am working with have started to have me sign a clause in my contracts that say no AI, which
Yes.
makes me super happy.
I know
know
Joe's
that,
added that, I think, in his contract too, to prove to not
yeah,
just puzzle companies, but overall companies. We work with hundreds of different kinds of
yeah,
companies. And I think he's adding that into the contract to say that, none of his artists use AI in our processes, which
yeah.
is
It's
I'm
huge.
glad to see that pushback. I agree
I
that it'll be
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's great that corporations and companies do this because, um, like, they could do the math, right? They could do the math and figure out, oh, I'm losing out on all this money, and like these big tech guys, they're trying to shove it in every aspect of Facebook and every aspect of Instagram or whatever platform you're using. They want to shove it in there and tack it on. Well, you can see how desperate they are for people to use it because it's not really,
hmm,
they're trying to stick it onto everything.
yeah.
But it's not, people don't instantaneously gravitate towards it. It's not really, like we inherently know that it's not like that great. So, I think that corporations doing this will just like raise the bar and let people know that like actual people work here, actual
Well,
people, artists are doing stuff.
and what's interesting about like the puzzle market specifically is you have people who are looking at your artwork, 1 inch by 1 inch to match up lines and things like that. And what you have with a lot of the AI art is lines don't match up. So if you have a vine, it disappears and reappears, and not like behind a building or something, but like in very weird ways. So a friend of mine bought a puzzle, not realizing it was an AI puzzle, and the back of the pieces were actually broken into A, B, C, D, E, F, because it was pumpkins, something with pumpkins and vines and Halloweeny, right? But the pumpkin that was up here looked exactly like the pumpkin that was down here. So you had to have that, A3, A5, B12, whatever, to put the pieces in the right place because nothing lined up properly.
Yeah, I think I see that
Give you
some of
more
the
cues.
Temu brands will do that. That's the clear sign of that. And it's just like, I don't know technologically.
Hey Ben, welcome. Sorry,
Hi,
in
Ben.
the chat.
Oh no,
Ben,
that's
Ben
fine.
was saying hi. It's another art
Hi.
friend of ours.
I just heard it.
I just arted as a friend of mine from Rico. So yeah. Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Sorry
Oh,
about that. Yeah.
no,
The puzzle's not matching up.
the technology as far as AI graphics and how. So I don't know if we're going to get to a point technologically where it is going to be indistinguishable, if they are going to work out the kinks, or if it's going to kind of feast upon itself and just keep regurgitating the errors. But what I honestly think what might happen is we're going to have maybe an industry more like fair trade coffee or organic beef, where there's going to be kind of a moral sticker that basically says, yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. But to be able to say this is human made, and then you're going to have more luxury products, or maybe companies will wisen to the fact that if they do put this human made, then maybe they will charge a higher price point because it will be more of a luxury item, right? And I suspect, or I'm hoping, because I'm hoping that'll happen, because I hope that means there'll still be space for us. And you know what? There's a hunger for real art. So I was just at the Disney Festival of the Arts, which is here at Epcot. I do live 20 minutes from Walt Disney World. I don't know, have either of you ever been to Festival of the Arts?
Not yet.
It's quite the show. So everybody who is there, so within Epcot, which is, the regular theme park, they have, not only do they have food booths, which are delicious, but they have artist booths. And the artists who are there, they are all Disney adjacent in some way. So they do official licensed work for Disney. But I think at this point, from what I see, I would say 90% of those artists are traditional painters, right? And usually they'll have the real painting up, these $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 gorgeous paintings. And then they'll also have the gallery canvas reproductions that might be like a couple $100. And then they'll have the print that's like this big, that's like $50, so something for every collector based on what you feel comfortable spending, but there's still the admiration. So even if somebody's just buying the $50 paper print, it's still this moment of like, wow, that's the real painting, and it's right there on the wall. Original. And there's people still care about that sort of thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think, and I had mentioned this on the last one too, that a study just came out through one of the major colleges that staring at an original does something to our brain that looking at a print doesn't do.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's different wiring in the brain. And I know, so I had seen a Keith Parkins original. A friend of mine was an author and he painted the cover for her book. And she invited me over to see the original. And I had seen the cover multiple times, right? I've read the book several times. It's one of my favorite books. I've seen, yada, yada, yada. But to stand in front of it, like I wept standing in front of this original because it was after he had passed of cancer and everything else. And to see it, like his actual brushstrokes and his like fingerprints on the edge of the paint and stuff like that was such an emotional experience compared to just holding the cover art, in your hands and whatever. And so that makes it, there's something about standing in front of original that does something to our brain. And unfortunately with digital, you don't get that.
Yeah.
right? Because you don't have a big physical original to put up that you've actually brushstroked. It's all reproductions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I think you get the same kind of connection like when you go see into a museum a little bit. You almost feel connected to the artists of the past or whatnot. And when you can be connected to a contemporary artist right there, you can actually, show your appreciation to them. And so that's awesome.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Say
It's
hello to
Kyle. Kyle's from my Facebook.
Oh, awesome. Look at that. We got all three of them tonight.
Kyle. Cool. Are there any questions from our viewers for any of us?
And if you're just joining, we have puzzle artist Rose Catherine Kahn on with us. Some amazing puzzles that you could see on her website, rosekatherinekahn.com. Or is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. rosecatcon.com. Or just you should RoseCon puzzle artist, you'll find me. I'm on all the socials, but yeah.
It's fantasy and an author and does everything.
Yep.
It's the benefit of being on the internet for 20 years, as you can say. If you just Google this, I'm right there.
Yeah.
If you Google DragonLady art, it's all me. If you Google RoseCon puzzle artist, it's all you. Alan, we're working on you.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I'm still a baby artist, but I'm old.
Right. It's never too late. So how do you balance everything? Like you're an author and you're writing your books, and then you're a puzzle artist and you're doing personal art on top of that, and you have 3 kids and you have a husband. How the heck are you doing it all? Because I have like 3 brands that I want to cry.
How many plates do you have spinning in the air at any one given time?
You're neurotypical, aren't you? You don't have any divergencies, do you? You're neurotypical, huh?
Oh no. I'm definitely like I don't think I'm quite average, whatever.
Right.
I really question. Look, as as an educator, I question the way we do these labels with neurodivergent. I don't want to go there. But my point is, I think everybody is a little different in their own way because we're all raised differently. We learn differently. Our brains develop in different ways. We strengthen different parts of our brains. So I feel like, we're all, so this idea, I don't know, that's a big thing. Cause I'm like, no, I don't feel like I fit whatever the normal mold is that's expected of me, but I also don't know anyone who does fit whatever the mold is. But to answer your question, as far as how do I balance everything? And the answer is I don't, and I do it rather poorly. It's the constant feeling of if I'm saying yes to one thing, I'm saying no to something else. So often deadlines will dictate where my focus goes. So I have another high piece count puzzle that I can't talk about because I just wrapped up under NDA, but that is going to take my focus for the next several months. So that's definitely where my brain is going right now. I just finished, we just finished doing the audiobook recording for the 2nd and 3rd Centurion novel. I put all that live, but we did that because we did through like a Kickstarter. We did a technically backer kit. But in a couple weeks, I'm going to Atlanta for the Jigsaw Puzzle Nationals. I'm going to be a guest of honor for Ravensburger. So there's some marketing stuff for that. So that has sucked my attention. But while I'm paying attention to these things, I'm not getting in as much time to do writing because now my evenings are for my kids. So it's basically like it's not balanced. It's like something is constantly being swapped for another based on whatever the deadline is. And that's the honest truth of it. And maybe I'd have more time if I wasn't also mom, but also I feel like it's my kids are awesome. They're fun to hang out with. My kids are artists and creators and makers. So there's certainly something that I like being a mom. So
that's
obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have 3 of them voluntarily.
Yeah, kids can inspire you too. Kids can be an inspiration as well. So
yeah.
I think
looks like
Ben had somewhat of a question. Traditional art versus digital art. Staring at an original doesn't really work with digital art.
Yeah.
Not quite sure
And
what your
I
question
think,
is.
and he says he's out with his hands in both cookie jars. And I
Ah.
think kind of with digital art, the power of nostalgia comes into play. Because like there's a lot of digital art that is original, but it's everything kind of is taken from something else in a way, like or taken other things.
We lost Alan. Oh, he
Yeah.
came back.
Jumping in and out.
Oh, did I
There you
glitch?
Okay.
Did I glitch? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think you're
Back.
stabilized, Ken.
Sorry, I glitched. Anyway, yeah, I think with digital art, like there's a lot because I see a lot of people who gravitate towards digital art too, and I think it's just because they are connected to like the or something of that nature. Sorry about that. I'm having technical difficulties tonight.
It's an accessibility thing too. Like, I mean, how many of us, I mean, not most of us as I think elder millennials here, but our children for sure, or younger siblings kind of grew up with an iPad in their hands. And when you have, Procreate does work on the base level iPad. When you have accessibility to programs that are better than they were when we were kids, or not even kids, but we were in our 20s when Photoshop 1 came out. Like, we were all older at that point. I mean, I remember playing on a pirated copy of Photoshop and coding websites with Dreamweaver when I was in my late teens, early 20s for sure. And yeah, that's the accessibility is definitely a big thing too, right? And it's nice. It is nice having your iPad. Like I can work on my couch. I can work anywhere. I still do my preliminary sketches on my iPad, and then take it into traditional from there because it's all wrapped up in one thing, right? I mean, the downside is you can't draw outside when it's sunny, but it's always there. I can always pick it as long as I have a battery plug.
It is just another medium, Kathy. Definitely, it's just another sometimes it doesn't carry the emotional weight of seeing sometimes the brush strokes. I guess for some people, I definitely have more of a connection when I look at some traditional works too. But
there's definitely no like poo-pooing on digital versus versus traditional as mediums. We're definitely not arguing any of that. We all, it sounds like, use digital and traditional in various parts of our methods, and Rose is mostly digital right now, and I was strictly digital for years, and I'm just now getting back into traditional. And like for me personally, I noticed that I missed the feeling of like brush on paper and the drag and the different hand motions and being kind of more involved. That's not quite the word I want to use because that's not.
It's a sensory thing. There's like a sensory thing.
More tactical. For sure.
Question for you, Carla. When you start to switch back, did you have a moment where you like made a mistake and then you like control Z?
I have double tapped so many canvases. It's dumb. Like, and it's automatic. It's just like pop, pop, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. Or I've struggled through it, going, if I just did this digitally, I could be done by now, or it would look better, or I could manipulate that line or what. Yeah. There was lots of regret the first two paintings that I did traditionally, and I still struggle. Like, this is the newest one, and I'm glazing in acrylic right now.
Oh wow!
And I can think about how I would just like put in a layer and change the layer statistics and everything on it, and it would like do exactly what I want to do, instead of like brushing in acrylic and waiting for it to dry and seeing if it'll do what I want it to do, and then trying to manipulate it from there. So. Yeah, there's some brain fights going on between traditional and digital for sure. That's fascinating.
I remember learning digital on Autodesk sketchbook on a touchscreen phone for the first time. I was like making digital art before I had an iPad or anything like that, or even a then I went to like a bamboo tablet, and I was just like looking at the computer, staring at it for like hours, and but also like drawing onto the side and trying to learn how to do hotkeys and stuff. So
I definitely drew a lot with a mouse the first several years.
Yeah.
So I'm reading Kat's comment about nostalgia for me is working with the mouse on the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Oakaki board. The world was amazing. Yeah, weren't those things where you, okay, so Kat is a friend of mine, by the way, and she's also a digital artist unto her own right.
Awesome.
And
Welcome.
were those the things where you'd have like the little competitions on like the website, and then you could like, I think that's what she's talking about, if I recall correctly. Like you'd have a topic and then like multiple users could be working at the same time. I think I'll give her a second to respond there. But
We're gonna start getting old school and talk about web rings and
oh, I miss
Elfwood.
Remember
those
Elfwood
days.
back in the day?
I want to go back and put freaking Facebook
Elfwood
in
was
a
awesome.
freaking
Oh,
blender.
I miss
I hate
Elfwood.
it.
That was where so much of my
Hate
traffic
it.
came from. Yep.
Elfwood was
Mouse
pre-deviant art, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
It was. It absolutely was. It was. Elfwood was the first fantasy
Yeah.
gallery that was on the internet.
I
and
remember that one. And Cat's
Elfwood.
message, right? Message boards with simple
Message
drawing
boards
applet in the
with-
browser. Yeah.
in browser. In browser. Anything in browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're
Like,
all old.
everything is so shiny and wonderful. But it is
Right.
interesting seeing the new generation. Okay, so my daughter is 10 and she is definitely an artist. She has an iPad, she has Procreate, she has an Apple Pencil, because I'm not going to let my kid not have these
Of
things.
course.
Right?
Because otherwise she'll steal yours all the time.
Yes, yeah, that is kind of my problem, right? And I do have a studio set up in my garage, and my kids have free access to paint and tape and mark and they go nuts. Like actually right now my daughter is hot glue gun banned because she accidentally left it plugged in overnight. And my
Oh,
rule is if you
snap.
forget the glue gun, you get a 20-day ban. So now if she wants to hot glue get something, she has to ask her brother, who is 8, supervise her. But my daughter, they also she loves making masks and cosplay
Yes.
and that sort of thing. So there's still,
cosplay.
even though AI is a thing, right? My kids don't really have as much interest in it. And my daughter, she's still drawing her own fan art for the fandoms that she loves. And she's into webtoons and trying to figure out, she's coming up with ways to make animations for these characters that I would not have thought, like the way she's using the screen recording feature of her iPad, and then she's like moving them around screen, and then she's like copying and I'm like, dude, I'm like, you have Procreate Dreams, and she's like, oh, this is fine, right? But she's finding ways to tell the stories she wants to tell and communicate with the tools that are in front of her. And even though she could just type this all into Chat GPT and have it spit out whatever, she has no interest in that. And the people who surround her, the other kids who surround her, the other people who are in the fandom, like it's like, okay, I don't know. It's just like, I think there's a rejection of AI that's had with some people within the younger culture.
Absolutely.
Is wonderful to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the creativity and the desire to make things isn't going to stop. I think the thing that's most in danger is the ability for some people to be able to make a living, because the smaller jobs that we all used to cut our teeth on to get into the industry, those are going to vanish. You know, the small local, I'm a band, I need a poster for my thing, right?
Right. Little flyers.
It's the people who are weaned on convenience culture like us, like that. It's everything. We need it now. We need it yesterday. We need it not to cost very much. And unfortunately, I work in a teaching field, and I'm starting to see more and more of it just being normalized in the teaching field. And it's, you make exceptions, like because it's for education. Because it's for education, we'll do that, and we're not making money off of it, but we're helping, just make some wall art for the school or something quick. And while that's, it's still ripping off somebody's work. It's still, scraping somebody's data to get what you wanted out of it without having to give anything back. So
yeah, I agree. And Ben says, I think the problem with AI is that we're not invested in it. And I am inclined to agree. Grifters aside, grifters got to grift, blah, blah, blah. I almost feel bad for people who think that they're AI artists or whatever, because I know when I create something from scratch, right? When I have the idea, when I sketch it out, it's all about the process. It's not about the finished product. I mean, yes, I enjoy painting pretty pictures, but the act of creation, of engaging in this thing in a way that we don't engage with like everyday life or regular things or whatnot, is so different, right? Like I created this thing and I have an emotional and mental investment in it. And I know like something came out recently about people were starting to like leave Mid-Journey in droves because they were tired of the slot machine, right? They got sick of being able to put everything in hard mode, easy mode, and have it just pump out whatever they wanted instead of like working for it.
Yeah.
And that could be like Americanized culture, as you were saying earlier, Alan, about, we're convenience culture, right? We want everything right now, finished, complete, the whole like we skip the process and just go to the end product. When there's something about putting 40 hours into a piece, whether it's traditional or digital, that has more meaning, and we're proud of that, and we did this thing and this is cool, and I made this. And that joke meme about look at what they have to do in order to have half the power that we do as artists. They're having to use massive amounts of water and electricity and still millions of billions of images online in order to sit down and do what we do every day, right?
Totally.
Thanks, Ben. And he's completely right, because and it's almost sad that like you're supportive, you're great, Rose. You're supportive for your kids. You're giving them those tools, but so many of those kids don't have those tools and don't have the support.
Yeah.
Right. How many artists do we know were shunned by their families and parents and stuff because because the end product took too long, right?
Yeah.
You'll never be an artist. You'll never make money. You'll never do this. You'll never do that. When it's so, even if you don't make money at it, I mean, we still would be doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a calling almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or therapy. Also therapy. I think my art and my writing to a certain extent is like wherever I have my frustrations, or I think that's where I inherently found my calm, quiet, happy place where my imagination could go crazy. And that was with a pencil in my hand, that is just it, it's like a need to create that is just built in. And if I don't draw for a certain amount of time, it's like
angsty.
Yeah.
I think there is something like mentally, if we go too long without making art, like it messes with our ability to think through problems or think through like thoughts or like get fuzzy or something. Because I think it helps us align how we think a little bit and align things. Because I know that problem has happened with a lot of artists who I know who if they don't spend very much time in the studio, or they don't draw enough, or they don't create enough, they start like feeling like feeling like that angst, like that, like I can't, you have to just get it out. And I do that too. I'm the same way. I'm like, it's almost like being hangry, but you gotta make art.
Well, there's a concept, and I'm sorry.
Oh, I was being art great, angry artist.
Art great. Oh my goodness.
I know it was bad. Sorry.
But, the thing I was going to say is, and I don't know if I'm using the correct term, but flow states, meditation, that whole branch, or even the feeling you get when you're reading a physical novel. Yes. Your brain can just go into this happy mode. And if we don't get enough of that, which I think we often suffer with our digital culture, with our stupid feeds of news that's awful right now. But to be able to take a step back and get back to, and when we were younger, it was much easier to be able to read a book, draw uninterrupted, and that was healthy.
Because we were bored a lot. You had 4 channels.
We need that.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a question then, as you as a digital artist. So I worked in a bookstore for 10 years, and a lot of things people said was that they would read on their Kindle and they couldn't remember what books they were reading. So basically there was no like ritual in the reading of the book, right? We pick up a book, we see the cover, we open it, we scan the pages, we flip the pages, they smell the book, right? It's engaging more senses than just picking up your phone and reading the same book on your phone or different books, so it's the same experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for traditional or for digital painting, do you find you have some of that when you paint too? Like, do you remember specific paintings, or does it all kind of blur together because the ritual is the same no matter what? Does that make sense?
Oh,
Do you
no,
see what
I
I'm
think
saying?
when you with the act of creating, I think inherently ties things to my brain in interesting
Okay.
ways. Like if I look back at my puzzle illustrations, there are certain parts of them that are hardwired to memories in my brain that I cannot separate. So, for example,
Okay.
Limmerstone Bakery, which is an image of two witchy characters in a very lovely bakery scene. It's actually tied into Saturnia. But every time I look at that image, when I look at the tiny little, they're essentially Hershey Kisses, but I took off the logo.
Right.
But I
No
look at those
copyright
and I
infringement.
remember, I can tell you exactly where I was when I painted those. And that was, I was in a dentist's office because my daughter was young and having oral surgery.
Okay.
And that's what I was drawing at the time I was sitting in that dentist's office. Right. And there's
Yeah.
other elements of my painting as I could look at and be like, I was sitting at this restaurant. I was sitting at the, this place in my house. Where I was, it's for some elements, some of them I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
where or when I was when I painted them. But they have ingrained themselves. Same with music. Actually, when I write, I write to music, and it would drive my husband crazy because when I say I write to music, I take one song, usually it's instrumental, that just something about it just like triggers a scene in my head with my characters. And I will listen to it on loop over and over and over and over and over again while I'm writing. And so now
There's
I have
the neurodivergence.
headphones. There we go. So I write with headphones and I also pace while I write, but I write the entire scenes in my brain.
Yeah.
And I hear the dialogue of the characters, and then I have it all beautifully mapped out when I actually sit down at the keyboard to type it out. It's like it's coming from someplace else. But then I will still play the same music again and again and again because it's just because I see it in my head like a movie. That's the soundtrack. So that was really, I don't know if I actually answered. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Totally. That was really cool. Yeah, yes, you did. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So that brings me, Ella, do you have a question? Before I just take over
I'm
here.
just I'm in awe
Soaking it in.
of everything that Rose is creating. So like I keep clicking back and forth through her website and just going through Saturnia, the Saturnia website's pictures and stuff because it's all amazing stuff.
Aw.
It's great stuff.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
If you guys if you guys weren't on, we're gonna put a code in later, and she's making it to where the ebook, the first book, is $5 for us.
Yep. The audio book actually, and
so,
that's
the audio
DRM
book.
free. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're promoting me, and I'm talking over.
Yeah. Well, I'm butchering
Let the man work.
it.
Let the man work.
I'm new at this. Go ahead. You do it.
I know. We're figuring it. Yeah.
No,
clearly
you're
we're
talking about
professionals
me.
here.
That's better. I'll just shut up.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, amazing artwork on your website. I'm loving it, and I definitely can see where some people would want to try to steal a lot of your work for AI, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
So what is your process with creating puzzles and work? And we'll start with that. We'll start with that first, and then I've got another side question to ask you. We need to. I don't think we've actually talked about a lot of this at Vegas. We talk a lot of art in Vegas.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
But basically, with my puzzles, it depends what the goal is. Okay, so sometimes there's a certain manufacturer that might be like, hey, we're looking for a winter scene puzzle, right? And certain manufacturers have certain requirements based on their audience. So one big thing is some puzzle companies like people in their art, and some puzzle companies do not like people because they feel like it impacts their target audience and the marketability of the puzzle. And I have no preference either way, but it's just certainly what people like. Some puzzle companies are like, yeah, fantasy, as many dragons as you can in there. That's great. Some companies are literally like, well, if there's a winged cat, can you make that into a normal cat, please? Right. I had that request before. So it really, so I start with, who is it for? So if I know it, and sometimes the puzzle companies will approach me ahead of time, and usually, you know, they'll message Joe and be like, hey, is Rose available? We'd like her. It's usually they want me for my style. And sometimes they'll give me a theme. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's more of like a general thing, like, you know, certain types of images. Sometimes it's what I want to do completely. And that's the Centurnia art. And over the years, I've gotten to the point where, especially now with the Tate and Co puzzles, there's been some images that I've told Joe, I'm like, if somebody asks me to change this, I ain't changing it, because it's actually, so like Found It is a recent puzzle I did, and those are two characters from Centurnia, and it's Jesse and Nico, and it's a very specific scene in the fourth novel, which has not been released yet, and it's emotional, it's important. I was like, you know, I'm painting this one for me, because I want to paint more romantic images.
Romantic-y?
Yeah, romantic. I love the genre. You know, it's a genre and it's a trend right now, but I've always been interested in fantasy and romance stories. So it's like nothing new, right?
Rose is the person I send all my spicy memes to.
Carla, sometimes I need a laugh, and those are like yeah.
When the spicy book memes come across my feed, I send them to Rose.
So much fairy smut.
Very smart.
I love it. Oh my god.
I used to watch Felicia Day had a book club thing.
Oh!
Back in the day. I used to watch that. Like,
oh my god, what was it called? I know the one you're talking about.
Vaginal. I can't remember. It was something about vaginas. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Hey, Kat, do you remember?
Probably
I feel like I used to send her. I used to send her the links back.
And fumble with this one.
Kat, right? Oh yes, could somebody Google this? But yeah, I know the podcast. I don't know why I love Felicia.
I know
Day.
that I missed that. I love Felicia Day. Darn.
She just came out with a book too, but we won't promote her until she. Vaginal Fantasy Book Club.
Okay.
That was with Veronica Belmont and Bonnie Burton, and they used to get on there. They used to get tipsy, and sometimes almost just.
There goes our E for everything rating. We should have just been.
But but they would talk about like everything from like, you know, the books that they were reading and stuff like that. So, you know, I think Carla and I just thought maybe we need to start a book club. Like we don't have it. Like we don't have enough.
We don't have enough stuff to do.
Yeah.
No, I'm all over that. I think it'd be great. Thing is, I just got Dungeon Crawler Carl finally.
Oh, I've heard they've been talking about that in my book club, that because I have a local one here where we all read different books, which is awesome. But people have been talking about that series so much; it's on my list. So, is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I'm current.
Alan's read it all.
Like it, and the books get progressively larger, but I just keep reading them because like after like the first book, I'm like emotionally invested to see what happens to the character. And he does this thing where it's like there's like this found family aspect. There's these, you know, there's trauma. There's things going on where you're like, you know, he sneaks up and gets you in the feels when you're mm-hmm. like, you know. But then like the AI also has like a foot fetish and makes him like step on things, and so it's kind of. You know, it's definitely interesting. So, and it's all about, you know, him and not breaking. You know, he doesn't want to break from these, you know, these overlords that have come down, and you know, and it's very like, I can tell it's almost like very, you know, it connects to what's going on in our everyday. Because, you know, you just want to be like that to like your boss or, you know, whatever's coming down on you. You just want to be like, give them the finger and say, you're not going to break me. So that's kind of a reoccurring theme of that book.
Cool. Cool. I will definitely, like I said, it's on my list. I tend to do a lot of audiobooks lately. I'll do audiobooks while I'm drawing, but it's only certain
I guess
parts
the
of the story.
audiobook, the guy that reads it sounds like Kronk. So he's reading it almost sounding like
Oh my
Kronk from
God, yeah.
Groove.
He does
Uh-huh.
great. His voice acting are fabulous. They're really, really good. Yeah.
Cool.
So you were talking about audiobooks a lot.
Yeah.
So what did we cover what your process is when you're working on a piece? Like do you start with an idea and do you kind of sketch it out and do you kind of find your way through the sketching?
Oh, like that
Or-
part. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
because
oh,
I know,
yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
because I know with me, like, I have to get the finished piece has to come in like a download, and I
Uh-huh.
see it because you were talking about with your novel, right? You like work it all out in your head, and then you sit down and type it. That's how I paint. Is it's all in my head, and then I sit down and vomit it onto canvas. I'm not one of these like stumbling artists that can sketch things out and kind of find my way that way. So I was curious what I wasn't calling you out specifically, but you know, if the shoe fits, I don't work that way. And so watching Alan work is always like, that's amazing because I don't work that way. So yeah, what is your process from like beginning to end?
So if I have the luxury of time, because occasionally there's projects where it's just like, I'm just going to do what they ask for and just put it on the page. I do thumbnail sketches. I try to force myself to do at least 25, if not 50. Like I have a sheet and I just tell myself, I ain't going to stop until this is finished. Right.
Oh, you're a thumbnail artist. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And I go there because you know what, when it comes to a puzzle, it has to look good, because when somebody looks at it from across the store, looking at a store shelf, or when you're looking at it, it has to read well, as small, and the values. So I figure out value. I sketch in black and white usually. So I get the values down. That's and awesome. I get the overall composition. And then when I finally nail one that I'm like, I've run out of time, or I'm just like, I'm sick of this, I'm just going to go with this, or I'm actually happy, I will then take that image, blow it up, put it in Procreate, and then I'll do usually one sketch phase where I lay out everything. And then I'll do a secondary sketch phase. And usually by that point, I'm starting to pull in references. I'm starting to think about lighting and color and lighting direction, because I don't think about lighting until my thumbnail and my values are, I'm happy with it and it's readable.
Okay.
Then I think about lighting and color and all of that. And once I start to dictate the lighting and I commit to my light source early, and I have and sometimes I have reference photos for them. Sometimes I go to Google, though now it's very difficult because AI is all of Google. So it's just like, I'm relying more on my photography. Though occasionally I still go to Pinterest. I still go to, if there's like something I don't have a reference for, I have to go and see what's on the internet, even though I don't know what the source of the image is.
Pinterest has gotten so bogged down with AI too.
You can turn it off.
It used to be my go-to. Pinterest used to be my mood board go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can turn off the AI in settings and it helps quite a bit, but it doesn't take care of all of it.
No, it's not all of it. But you know what? But it's not like I'm doing a one-to-one copy. It's as you said, I will set up a mood board and they will be elements. And it's usually like I'm looking for the lighting of this, or I'm like, oh, I want a chair from this era, or let me do a harpsichord, like a piece that I'm doing now. I have to have a harpsichord in it. So I have to look up historically what those look like, right? So I have the parts of the image that have to be there. I start with those first, right? If there's some sort of additional requirement, usually if there's characters, then I will go and I will do my references. And the way I do my character reference, I love the app Magic Poser, where you could take models and put them in space. Yes. So I'll set them up.
I love that app.
And then I use, I'm subscribed to Adorka Stock, which is Sarah Ford. Yes. She's a figure model. And I will usually take my sketch and my poser file, and I'll send it over to her and I'll be like, hey, can you pose for me, please? And she'll send it back to me because I'm one of her patrons on Patreon. Nice. So if you're a Patreon patron of hers, she'll do that.
Heck yeah.
She's wonderful. You should interview her at some point.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
awesome.
You sent me her info. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've
I'm
seen a
gonna
lot of
get
her stuff since DeviantArt, like a long time. I've seen her work for
Yeah,
a long time.
she
and
is.
she had different models too, all
Yeah.
kinds of models. that
Yeah.
she worked with.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar, she was Senshi stock back on DeviantArt like about 10, 15 years ago. Like she was just like had one of the largest followings on DeviantArt, and she's a lovely person. I've like met her in person. We would hang out when I would do Anime Boston. But anyway, so she's part of my process. And then sometimes for the photos, if it's not quite right with lighting, I will pose or I'll make my kids or my husband pose and we'll take the photos just so I have enough to work from. And I mean, I do a lot of figure drawing practice anyways. So I'm like constantly trying to figure out how to draw people, but no matter what, I have my reference. So anyways, I'll bring my people in and I'll draw the characters first, because if the characters aren't right, the whole thing falls apart. Right. They're the first thing I draw. And then once the characters are correct, I'm starting to build in the scene. And that's the point where, because I've been doing this for so long, some things I don't have to look up references for. I know how to draw them. I know how to draw my dragons. I know I've drawn so many crystals at this point. I don't have to reference crystals or candles or horses, or sometimes cats I still look up because the way they contort
Cats
themselves.
are weird. Yeah, they're part liquid.
I was just looking at your tropical owl piece, and there are so many other creatures in there besides tropical owls. I'm just like, but that's kind of cool, the way that your composition is, because for me, it's almost like looking at a traditional painting where you can almost see deeper into the background and find things, and like, because I'm like constantly spotting this and going back, spotting this and going back, and I think that's a great composition.
Yeah, thank you. Like a lot of my puzzles, if you look at them, I do have a very similar circular composition. Like I tend to rely on that quite a bit because it allows me to control the eye when I'm doing a puzzle, because it's so elaborate. I think if my works weren't so crazy, I might be a little more experimental in the way I set up my formulas. And then I also another thing I do.
A puzzle company that likes a formula and they come to you for that particular, whether it's formulaic or not. They know that they can trust what you're going to create and know that it's going to look and fit well on their puzzles and stuff like that. So it makes sense. Which was another question I had about hard art versus puzzle work. Like, are you balancing that? Or do you have
poorly?
I'm sorry. Oh, poorly. Like balancing everything else. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's just like, if I would draw way more character art if I had the time to do that. I would just draw my Centurnia characters in romantic, emotional,
to be 14 again and not have to worry about any of that and just draw whatever fan art you want to do.
So tell your husband to pose for a romantasy piece.
Right?
Oh my God. My husband is like, I can't remember the last time I actually made him pose for any. I tend to draw more like women in pretty dresses anyways.
Yes.
Have I made him draw recently, pose recently? I can't remember. But yeah, it's a different sort of thing, because puzzles are generally a happy genre, right? You're not going to have like a character that's just been stabbed and lying wounded. You're not going to have a character who is like upset and her heart is breaking because somebody just broke up with her. You're not going to have that. And I want to start to introduce that into the puzzle world, because everything is very superficial. Yes. And I want to see if I can achieve this land of, it tells a story,
right?
But it still is a fun puzzle image. And I can understand why major manufacturers, why you wouldn't, and I haven't even tried to approach most of them with images that are a little more emotional, because I do know they would not have the same mass market appeal, because it's a business at the end of the day. Illustration is a business, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's all. I mean, just because I want to do these things doesn't mean I'm not like happy creating the stuff that I'm doing. I still like doing landscapes and dragons. It's an amazing career, and it's fun.
Well, and it's interesting because it sounds like the puzzle company coming to you is similar to like what we've heard from other artists about when gaming companies come, it sounds like it's almost the same process, right? They contact you to see if you're available, and they send you like what they're looking for, and then you make it, and then you take, you know, feedback, and there's back and forth, and then they publish it on a product, right? It's I didn't realize how similar working that close with the puzzle companies were, how similar it was to like working with Paizo or D&D or you know, any of that kind of work too. So that was really interesting. So that's that's cool.
Yeah. So
because I work with Joe too, but he's like, just make whatever you want, and then I'll try to find a home for it, which is what I've been doing, is just making whatever I want and trying to find a home for it. And I'm not quite as licensed as you are through Tate, which is fine. I think I'm one of the mid-tier licensors, which is totally fine. But it's just interesting that that's interesting that the process is very similar.
The question I just got in the chat, we just got
Yeah.
are they sending you AI mock-up type images like, we want something like this? I will say, and I will not say who, I have received puzzle briefs that I look at them and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that came out of an AI. But then, to be fair, jumping back, in defense of these puzzle companies and these art directors, previously for other companies, I'd received briefs where I'd have like other artists' art or Google search, just like anything that's trying to the art directors are trying to communicate by any means they can the idea, and whatever is presented to me is just like a kind of like this. And then, but that's why they're hiring me, because they know I'm going to take this and take it like 50 yards further from whatever they're me. Right. And they're trying to be helpful. So, I mean, like I said, so the source of whatever, and this is like, more often than not, I don't have graphics in what there's usually a written description or just a conversation. If they're giving me any sort of direction at all. Sometimes I draw something and I'm like, oh, Joe, send it to this company first, because I think this would hit well with them. And if they decline it, then, you know, see who will take it. And sometimes my instincts are right, and sometimes I'm like completely wrong, and the piece sits for like 6 months before somebody else picks it up. So happened too.
And that's interesting too with the licensing, is making something and putting it out there, and then like maybe it'll hit big, or maybe it won't, or maybe it'll take 6 months, or maybe like a puzzle company will pick it up and it won't do very well, and it'll sit for a while, and then like 3 years later another company will come in. And I mean, that's what's nice about working with Ravensburger and Buffalo and Seco and whatnot, is, you know, like Seco's contract is like 2 years. And once that contract is up, Joe can take these images and go to other puzzle companies and say, so Seco, you know, this contract is up. Seco published it. They did well with it. It's now open for anybody else. And I'm trying to think, the guy that reps Springbok was in the booth this past year in Vegas. Did you talk to him?
I didn't.
Was it just me and Bridget?
Springbok is one of the companies I've not worked with yet at all.
So yeah, Springbok is leaning heavily into AI. And he was saying that the turnover rate on puzzles right now is like 4 to 5 months. So they publish a puzzle and it's out for like a season, and then they pull it and put something else out, which is why Springbok is leaning heavily into AI. Now, I know from a retail standpoint that like the woman that I used to work for at the bookstore ordered a bunch of Springbok puzzles. They came in, they were all AI, because she's, you know, as you said, she's buying it off of a little thumbnail in a catalog. Yeah. And she wrote Springbok back, and she's like, I will never buy puzzles from you again because they're all AI and I can't sell them. Yeah. Because the younger generation, especially Gen Z and a little lower, early millennial Gen Z, they're recognizing AI and they're not purchasing it. Yeah. And then it was a store owner for her to be carrying AI puzzles, even though she didn't know they were AI when she purchased them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually talked to not one, but like 2 librarians at this point, because often libraries now will have a puzzle section, a puzzle zone. Yeah. And they have expressed to me that they have accidentally purchased AI puzzles, and they're teen. It is the teen crowd, especially. They're like, we can't, and they literally just like trashed them, gave them away, because there was the rejection. But yeah, the funny thing is, you are right on the cycles are moving quicker because they're having to compete with the online marketplaces, right? But this is where piece count will also come in, because the larger the piece count, because it's more of an investment from a technical standpoint, and making sure how it prints, right? There's just a little bit more to it.
Right.
Higher piece counts tend to stay in the lines longer.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
But
They're also,
there's also,
they take longer to do. So yeah.
yeah. So
Robin says, I believe Springbok also keeps puzzle rights indefinitely.
Oh,
That's would be a big reason why we're not with them, because Joe, like our agent, is really against that. Really against that. We have very structured,
interesting
timeline contracts and stuff like that. They would not be sitting on a design.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Huh.
Oh,
We're spilling the tea, I think. We're spilling.
We're spilling some tea. Yeah, right. Joe's never gonna get a contract with Springbok.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't want one, because we just ruined it for him.
Better put more zeros behind that, buddy. Better put some more zeros behind that.
Yeah. Right.
So it is 8:50. I don't know what time do you guys normally, or say 8:50 on the East Coast here.
Yeah, we only have about 10 more minutes, and we were gonna wrap.
Okay, we are gonna wrap at 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there other questions?
Yeah. Do we have open it up?
Oh yeah, I was curious. You may have answered this already. Did you, when you were creating art, did you seek out licensing, or did licensors seek you out, or was it like a kind of like a, kind of a dance? You kept running into each other. I didn't know.
Okay, kind of both, sorta. And let me explain. So I used to do, and I still do, conventions, like especially anime, comic, gaming, anybody who would take me, I would go to those, and I'd be at the artist alley tables. And I used to do Anime Boston quite a bit. And I remember in 2014, I was approached by the art director from Seco, because they have an office right there in Boston. He's like, oh, I love your art. Here's my business card. Reach out to me, send me your portfolio. So I sent her my portfolio twice, never heard back. However, there's more to that story. Maybe about a year or two later, I had been actually listening to Carla. Do you remember when Bridget used to have her art share?
That's how I got hooked up with Joe too, was through that. He was a guest on that podcast.
Oh, you were a guest? Oh, you're so
no. Joe was a guest.
Oh, Joe was,
yeah. And he was like, apply here if you're interested in having us rep your art. And I applied. And that was almost 15 years ago now. You know that? Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. So that podcast.
Did you apply?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. What happened was, like, because I was listening to Bridget's advice on how to build a portfolio. And because I was doing the conventions, I was trying to see what the market liked, and I was getting feedback in terms of like just hearing people respond to what was on my booth. Because I tended to not do as much fan art because I was trying to promote Saturnia. So I was doing more original. Anyways, I sent my portfolio to Joe. At the time, he had a thing on the website that says, expect your response within 2 weeks, right? He responded in like 2 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah, he called me the next day.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. He liked my time dragons, because and all he could talk about was like, oh, let's see these as figurines. And I'm like, to me, it was mind blowing, because I'd never seen
I can't wait to talk to Joe. He sounds awesome.
Yeah. It was really cool.
He's wonderful, because you know what? And I don't know how other licensing agents are, but as far as fantasy goes, he's a fan first. Yeah. Like, he got his start. He used to do Ren fairs like way back in the day. And I could go on to Joe's origin story.
Fairyside.com was his original business. And what he ended up doing was he just became friends with a lot of the fantasy artists. And he bought product from a lot of these companies. And he just figured that he could broker those deals. And that's literally how I became a licensing agent. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It just worked.
Yep.
So back in the days of Radcliffe pewter, when you could go to the mall and buy pewter figurines in the 90s and 2000s, Radcliffe went under. And there's one guy that does pewter. It's Perth Pewter. And Joe brokered the deal to get all of the Radcliffe molds sold to Perth. So you can still get Radcliffe dragons.
Oh, that's so cool.
Pewter. Yeah.
Wow.
And he brokered that because he knew he happened to buy from Radcliffe all the time. And when Radcliffe went under, all their molds were just sitting collecting dust in a warehouse.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's so cool.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a little bulldog. He's from Jersey, and
Yep.
he's got good lawyers. So when I am at shows and have people approach me for licensing, I always say, you have to talk to my agent, because that's, I don't want to deal with it. That's why I have an agent. So yeah.
Exactly.
And then you'll be at Vegas this year, right?
Yes, I think so. Probably.
Sweet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
Bridget
book
got a
my
suite.
flight. I haven't booked my flight, but
I'm driving.
I intend
So
to
if you want to fly to Albuquerque, I'll pick you up and I can drive you the rest of the way.
Oh my God. It's okay.
Jeff will be there. It'll be great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've got like 5 minutes left. So if you wanna drop where to find your info and
Oh yeah. Actually though, Robin had one more.
Oh
comment.
yeah, absolutely.
That's what they started reading. You may have more than one process when considering submitting an image as Springbox. It was a flat $800 fee plus 6 of your puzzles if they chose. So they gave you $800 and 6 puzzles. Is that it? I think
that's almost like a spec art contest.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right. Yeah. Like our we make more than that off of just the advance. Our advance is more than that.
Yeah, our advances are definitely more than that's a scam, and they definitely most puzzle companies send me more than 6 samples for most of my I get boxes of puzzles.
Right.
But yeah, so what Springback do, it's kind of underhand, because that is definitely way less than actual illustrators are getting paid.
Yes. And if they're going to hang on to your design and you don't keep rights to that, absolutely not. So that's the thing that Joe is really supportive and strict about letting us keep our rights.
Yeah.
Right. All of the, no matter what I've got licensed on what, I retain the rights. So I can still make, it explains the AI exactly, because they can't get artists. We retain the arts for all of our work. So I can make prints. I can go to other companies. You can cross companies. You can have it on cross stitch and diamond and puzzles, and it's all kosher. Yeah, he's really strict about letting us keep our rights and stuff, and that's one of the reasons I really like him. So
yeah. Actually, the other day I don't have because I wasn't offering more stuff through my website. Like, for example, right now, you can't get a poster of 6 portals, right? And he's like, Rose, just put it on your website. And I'm like, oh. He's like, Rose, why don't you have this? And I'm like, because I have too many other things. I don't have enough time. And this dovetails into, you just asked me to tell people where I could find all my stuff. I don't think I talked about the t-shirt at all during this conversation. I'm going to stand up here.
Cool.
I'm starting to, my gamer shirt. I'm starting to offer more merch through my website. I mean, already right now, if you are interested in my art, if you go to rosecatcon.com, I sell a lot of my puzzles through my website, and you can get signed copies of my puzzles as well as my novels. And that's the only place online where you can get signed copies. Otherwise, you have to hunt me down at an art fair in Orlando, Florida, which I do. And I try to post those. I haven't been right now. My schedule is fairly blank because I have my son is tiny, but I'm adding more on. So look for those in the future. But yeah, so I'll have more merch on my website, but really, if you go to my website, you'll find the links to all of my socials. I'm on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky and LinkedIn.
We'll put her link in the show notes when we repost.
Yes. Yeah. And once again, if you are curious about the universe of Saturnia, which is Portal Fantasy, I don't even have time to go into it, but if you use
we'll have you on again.
Yeah, the coupon code DRAGON in checkout for the audiobook, you can get the audiobook, the first one, for only $5, and it is DRM free. So if you don't want to give your money to the evil overlords of Amazon, this is yours to keep. It's basically a zip file with a nice big old set of MP3s, and it's yours forever. Because I'm getting to the point with my career that when it comes to watermarks and digital rights and whatever, I'm like, look, I've been ripped off by so many companies. I would rather fans get my stuff and freely share it, because that's who I want to be able to act. I'm not going to prevent you from accessing my stuff. I really don't like these subscription-based services, so that's why you can get my novels direct from me. I mean, and certainly if you have an Audible account, or if you have Spotify, you can also find Saturnia that way. But yeah, that's how you find all the things. I think I covered. Did I say everything I needed to say, Carla?
I think so.
Yeah, I
We're
think
still
so.
figuring this out, so
Yeah. Here Be Dragons is also Artcast is on Spotify and Apple iTunes, and you can also watch the VOD on our YouTube channel. So we appreciate you having you on, Rose. It's so nice to meet
thank
you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. This has been a fun conference. This has really flown right by. So we should do this again.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you on. So I'm Carla Morrow of DragonLady Art, and my co-host is
Alan Childers of Childers Art Studios.
Awesome. And we have a host episode next week, and then we've got we're booking guests like crazy. Like I think we have like the next 3 guests booked, which is really cool. So
Brian W. Parker of Believe in Wonder Publishing is going to be on with us the next time we have an interview on the 23rd.
Yep. And we've got Nathan DeWitt after that, and then Ben is going to join us, and we have a whole list of people, and Rose is giving us a few more people, and there'll be more Tate licensing artists, and this might actually become something, which is pretty cool. So
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I'm going back through and listening and taking notes.
Exactly. And we're entertaining. I've been enjoying going back and listening to the episodes. It's been fun. So awesome. Thank you guys.